What up, guys? So we finally got the checker for deBridge and also some important information to cover. What I'm gonna do is use this thread from Fabiano.sol. Pretty good information. Go ahead and give him a follow. So number one, we have the total supply at 10 billion tokens, DBR, which is a ticker symbol, and they allocated 10% for circulating supply. So at first, we're gonna have 1 billion tokens, which also 6% or 600 million tokens is for the point season 1. We're gonna talk a little bit about the price in just a second, but if you guys want to speculate a little bit, give it a pause. So pause the video so you guys can check some of the prices here pretty easy. We have FDV at $100 million. The price of the token would be 0.01. At 500 million, it would be 0.05. And at 900 million, it would be 0.09. Now, this is obviously FDV. So what we're calculating is the total tokens. So 10 billion tokens multiplied by the price that we are speculating. Now, so some more information here. So the total point is 1.5. Actually, it is 1.5, not 1.4. I checked on their Discord group. So there is a small error here. 1.5 billion for point season 1. Total airdrop would be 600 million tokens. Tokens per point is 0.42. It should be a little bit less since it is 1.5. And obviously the airdrop is linear. So the more points you got, the more tokens you're going to be receiving. That's it. There is no crazy quest or something that we did or maybe using it earlier that increased our allocation. What else? So to recover all our fees, so that means at least for you to break even, more or less, it should open at $250 million. Now, this is a little bit different for each one of us. So for example, myself, my cost basis is way lower than a lot of people because I started using deBridge back in 2023. So my multiplier was around 2 or 2.25, something like that. So that means if you end up spending $50 to get some points, $100 to get some points, myself, since I receive a 2x multiplier, that means I only had to spend $50 to get the same amount of points. Obviously, I also have some referrals and all of those things, but just because I was early on the project, obviously it was easier for me to get some points. I don't know the exact amount that I spent on deBridge, but on multiple wallets, and not because I was farming multiple wallets, I just needed to bridge on multiple wallets. I think I probably spent around $400, and most of my fees were prior to the points and not after the points. I actually stopped using deBridge after the point system. Only when I needed to bridge from EVM to Solana or Solana to EVM is when I end up using deBridge. That's it. So to recover the fees, most likely we will need the FDV to be at $250 million. As he's saying right here, it can be achievable. I also think that because the pre-sale price is $0.025 per token. So that would be a 250 million FDV. So usually when we have a pre-sale, most likely the price should open at or a little bit above that price. Now, I'm not saying it will stay at that price, but most likely it can open around that price. And then obviously we will have the crash. People selling, you're gonna be selling, I'm gonna be selling, everybody's gonna be selling. So most likely the price will crash pretty easy and pretty quickly. But for me, I do think that anywhere between 250 million FDV up to maybe 500 million FDV is where it should. That's what I'm saying, should. I don't know shit. I'm just saying should open around that price. And again, I'm saying opening, not staying, but opening around that price. And probably within the first few minutes, it will crash because a lot of people are going to be selling. So yeah. We also have distribution. So top 10% can only claim 50% of their airdrop, and the remaining 50%, it will be in 6 months. So for example, myself right here, you guys can see my biggest allocation on one of my wallets. I have 42K, and you can see that it is actually the same amount for my first and second distribution. So for my first distribution, I'm gonna get 42K, and then in 6 months, I'm gonna be able to claim the second distribution. So that is by January? Yeah, more or less, is when I'm gonna be able to claim that second distribution. So let's see what else. Now, when it comes to TGE, we don't have an exact date, but what we know is since they're having the pre-sale, it should be 48 hours after the pre-sale ends. So we don't know when is the pre-sale. It should be this month. So in August, probably late August. So whenever that ends, 48 hours after is when we're going to be receiving the airdrop. The pre-sale is not available for everybody. So you needed to stake, I think it was around 900 Jupiter tokens to be within the top 10%. Don't quote me on it, but I think that was the amount. Or using deBridge on 10 different days to participate. And again, the price is $0.025 per token. So that is a $250 million FDV. They allocated 2% for the pre-sale, 6% for the airdrop, and the remaining is for the treasury or something like that. So yeah, that's what we got. Here's just covering road to TGE, but again, we don't know. We're just using some speculation here. So most likely it should be late August is when we're going to be receiving the airdrop. Now, one thing you need to do when you are checking your allocation is go ahead and also check your Solana address and also your EVM address. That is one thing you need to do because actually you have a different allocation on each one of them. So if you use deBridge a lot for bridging, for example, from Solana to EVM, most likely you should have an allocation on both of them. So actually I checked most of my wallets already, and I do have small allocation on each of my Solana wallets. So go ahead and try it out and see what you get. But I did got probably like 1,000 here and there, 500, 139, I think was my smallest. So pretty good. At least I know that I'm going to be receiving something on some of these smaller wallets. So go ahead and double check just in case so you can be ready whenever we have TGE so you guys can claim it. And if you want to sell right away, you can do it, but at least you are able to claim your tokens and not lose it. I'm also going to be adding the link in the description so you guys can check, so you can go to the checker and check your allocation. But so far, that is the information that we got. Now, when it comes to price, you guys can also use can I speak today? Wells Market, which is $0.026 per token right now. But usually, I don't like to use Wells Market. Most of the time, 99.9% or probably 100% of the time, they're not really correct about the price. So for me, it doesn't really matter. But I'm sticking with the price. Could be 0.025 up to 0.0.5. Opening. Again, opening. I'm not saying it will stay there. You need to have some fast fingers if you want to sell at those prices. But most likely, it can be within that range. So there you go, guys. Let me know how many tokens you got. To be honest, it is not the biggest airdrop. It is not the greatest airdrop because we did end up spending a pretty significant amount of money on deBridge. Yes, the product is good. Yes, it is super fast, but also the fees were super crazy. $5 just to bridge. So yeah. So since we also have Point Season 2, I don't think I'm going to be participating after the airdrop that I got. I'm not saying it is bad, but obviously most of my points for the biggest allocation, I do have a good chunk which is coming from referrals. So obviously, thank you guys for that, which is kind of crazy because I don't think I did talk a lot about deBridge. I probably had like one video about deBridge, and that was in April, and I did mention it back in 2023, but it was just one time. I didn't create a video about it. So kind of crazy that you guys still use my referral link, so thank you for that. So yeah, focus for now, I'm probably gonna be using other things like Hyperlane, like Bungee, maybe Jumper, Squid Router. But to be honest, Point Season 2 is not something that I see that we're going to be making a lot of money. Now, I don't know, maybe a lot of people are going to stop using deBridge, so maybe it can get a little bit better. But as of right now, it is not looking that great. So there you go, guys, just some information about it. Let me know what you think. and what is your allocation. Hopefully we can make some money back. Thank you guys for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.